Ukraine faces unprecedented challenge. Dual fronts against Russian and North Korean forces. Once again, Ukraine finds itself combating the armies of two nations. At the height of the conflict, Ukrainian forces had to contend with Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov's troops alongside Russia's military might. However, as the presence of Kadyrov's forces on the battlefield has waned, North Korean troops have taken their place in alarming numbers. Tens of thousands of North Korean soldiers are now reportedly deployed in regions such as Kursk, KSK, Belgorod, and northeastern Ukraine, fighting under the direct command of Russian President Vladimir Putin. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has further escalated the situation by planning to dispatch reinforcements to bolster these units. With North Korean troops flooding the front lines, Kyiv initially faced a daunting task. Yet, the Ukrainian armed forces have demonstrated exceptional resilience and adaptability, striking a significant blow against this alliance of aggression. Key Ukrainian strikes, turning the tide. A pivotal moment came when Ukrainian forces, utilizing advanced Storm Shadow missiles, reportedly neutralized 500 North Korean soldiers in a precision strike. This operation sent shockwaves through the ranks of Pyongyang's forces and underscored Ukraine's capacity to respond decisively. More recently, a devastating strike targeted a large North Korean military contingent stationed at a critical training ground in Kursk. Leveraging precise intelligence, Ukrainian HIMARS operators executed a calculated attack on North Korean forces embedded within the Russian 83rd Airborne Brigade's base. The assault obliterated a strategic North Korean force concentration and thwarted planned operations, marking a significant Ukrainian victory in the region. North Korea's strategic deployment, military and political implications. Pyongyang's heavy involvement has introduced unique dynamics to the conflict. Russian logistical challenges, compounded by significant equipment shortages, prompted Moscow to rely on North Korean reinforcements. In response, North Korea began transporting substantial military assets, including Koksan self-propelled howitzers and other heavy artillery, by rail to the front lines. Ukrainian intelligence, intercepting critical radio communications, uncovered Pyongyang's hurried preparations for these deployments. This intelligence enabled Kyiv to preemptively target and dismantle North Korean operations. Notably, Ukrainian brigades in the Malaya Loa area of Kursk decimated a combined Russian-North Korean offensive, inflicting severe losses on personnel and equipment. Reports suggest that 15 armored vehicles were destroyed in addition to the loss of numerous North Korean soldiers. Failed integration, the collapse of Russian-North Korean coordination. Russia's initial strategy aimed to seamlessly integrate North Korean troops into its military framework. The plan involved embedding North Korean personnel within established Russian Marine brigades to conceal their presence and utilize their combat capabilities under Russian command. However, this strategy faltered disastrously. For example, the 155th Marine Brigade, which incorporated North Korean forces, suffered catastrophic losses due to relentless and poorly coordinated frontal assaults. This obliterated the unit's combat effectiveness and left the North Korean soldiers isolated, forcing Russian commanders to redeploy airborne divisions to Kursk to fill the gaps. Despite joint training exercises, the integration process remains fraught with challenges, with Ukrainian strikes repeatedly disrupting these efforts. Why is North Korea involved? A geopolitical gamble. North Korea's decision to deploy troops to Ukraine is rooted in its broader geopolitical ambitions. Viewing the conflict as a strategic opportunity, Pyongyang aims to strengthen its position within a trilateral alliance with Russia and China. Since the 8th Communist Party Congress in 2021, Kim Jong-un has pursued a strategy of exploiting global tensions, particularly the growing U.S.-China rivalry and the war in Ukraine, to reshape the geopolitical landscape on the Korean peninsula. By aligning closely with Moscow, Pyongyang seeks to lessen its dependence on Beijing, undermine the UN sanctions regime, and paralyze international monitoring efforts. The Russian-North Korean Security Treaty, signed under the guise of mutual defense, provides a convenient pretext for deploying North Korean troops. Russia has justified their presence by citing Ukrainian incursions into Kursk as a violation of its sovereignty, invoking Article 4 of the treaty to formalize Pyongyang's participation in the conflict. Ukraine's response and the road ahead. Ukraine's effective targeting of North Korean forces demonstrates its adaptability and determination. By capitalizing on intelligence, Kyiv has disrupted key enemy operations, forcing Moscow to recalibrate its strategies. However, the continued influx of North Korean troops, coupled with Russia's reliance on these forces, presents an ongoing challenge. For Putin, North Korean reinforcements are a grim necessity. Russian military casualties have exceeded 700,000, including those killed, wounded, or surrendered. The Kremlin's diminishing resources leave few alternatives but to rely on Pyongyang's support. Yet, the question remains, can Russia trust North Korean troops to deliver on the battlefield, or will their presence sow further chaos? The broader implications. As the war unfolds, the collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang underscores a dangerous precedent for global security. North Korea's involvement not only heightens the conflict's stakes but also strengthens the Russia-China-North Korea axis. This evolving alliance has far-reaching implications, potentially reshaping power dynamics across Eurasia and beyond. The enduring resilience of the Ukrainian armed forces, however, serves as a beacon of hope. Through tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve, Ukraine continues to defy the odds, sending a clear message to its adversaries: aggression will not go unanswered. The expanding geopolitical implications of North Korea's deployment in Ukraine. Ukraine's activation of the mutual defense provisions of the Russia-North Korea Treaty highlights a troubling evolution in global alliances. Notably, while Russia's invasion of Ukraine blatantly violates Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the UN Charter, which prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, neither Moscow nor Pyongyang appears concerned by such legal frameworks. Instead, their cooperation underscores a shared defiance of international norms. For North Korea, financial compensation for its soldiers' involvement in Ukraine serves as a significant motivator. Yet, the broader advantage lies in Pyongyang's perception that this conflict entrenches a Cold War-like dichotomy, a geopolitical structure that prevents meaningful resolution of the North Korean problem. The broader consequences of North Korean participation. North Korea's troop deployment in Ukraine has not dramatically altered the conflict's dynamics but has profound implications for global relations. As Ukrainian resistance continues to grow against these foreign forces, Kyiv's demand for South Korean military support is likely to increase proportionally. This development risks internationalizing the war further, potentially drawing NATO into deeper involvement and amplifying the threat of Russian nuclear escalation. North Korea's strategic gains. The presence of North Korean troops signals a unified anti-US front between Pyongyang and Moscow. This partnership could solidify North Korea's role in a new Eurasian security framework, which Russia has been eager to establish. While the specifics of this framework remain unclear, a North Korea armed with nuclear capabilities poses a significant concern. This alignment could lead to the formation of a Russia-led alliance of nuclear states, including Belarus, where Russian tactical nuclear weapons are already deployed. In this scenario, North Korea might demand membership in organizations like the Collective Security Treaty Organization, CSTO, BRICS, or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. Such a move would elevate Pyongyang's status in the anti-Western bloc and potentially break its diplomatic isolation. Erosion of the non-proliferation regime. Russia's apparent endorsement of North Korea's nuclear ambitions undermines decades of international efforts to prevent nuclear proliferation. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's recent comments dismissing denuclearization as a closed issue reflect a troubling shift in Moscow's stance. Article 10 of the Russia-North Korea Treaty, which references cooperation on peaceful nuclear energy, adds another layer of ambiguity. If Russia aids North Korea's nuclear development, even under the guise of civilian energy cooperation, it risks legitimizing Pyongyang's atomic arsenal. Such developments threaten the international non-proliferation framework established after the Cold War. Moreover, President Putin's recent adjustments to Russia's nuclear doctrine align more closely with North Korea's aggressive posture, further destabilizing global security. This alignment has direct consequences for the Korean Peninsula, where North Korea's strengthened ties with Russia could exacerbate existing tensions. Impacts on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. The deployment of North Korean troops to Ukraine underscores the interconnectedness of European and Asian security issues. The Korean Peninsula is particularly vulnerable to the ripple effects of this European war. Increased Russian pressure in Ukraine provides North Korea with leverage to advance its military ambitions. Pyongyang's growing influence over Moscow may also amplify the technological and tactical cooperation between the two nations, including in areas like drones and artillery systems. Additionally, Article 4 of the Russia-North Korea Security Treaty, which allows for mutual security guarantees, could justify further Russian involvement in potential conflicts on the Korean Peninsula. This emerging military alliance could counter the South Korea-US partnership, heightening the nuclear dimension of any future confrontations in the region. Economic and tactical opportunities for Pyongyang. The war in Ukraine also provides North Korea with opportunities to earn foreign currency through military contracts and to test its combat capabilities on an international stage. This experience could refine Pyongyang's tactics and weaponry, presenting new security challenges for South Korea and its allies. However, the method of North Korean participation, whether as integrated units within Russian forces or as an independent operational authority, will significantly influence the conflict's trajectory. Independent deployment risks greater political and economic costs for Russia, whereas integration into Russian forces could blur accountability for Pyongyang's actions. Long-term responses and strategic adjustments. In the short term, options to curb North Korean involvement in Ukraine are limited. However, Western and allied governments must adopt a long-term perspective. Drawing on post-Cold War diplomatic strategies, they should seek to isolate Pyongyang while also preparing for a post-conflict recalibration of relations with Moscow. For South Korea, this means fostering stronger ties with Central Asian nations aligned with Russia and China to counterbalance the emerging Eurasian bloc. Simultaneously, Seoul must continue to advocate for international awareness of the risks posed by North Korea's military deployment. The role of Western aid in Ukraine's success. The Ukrainian armed forces' successes against North Korean troops demonstrate the critical importance of sustained Western support. As Ukraine confronts two adversarial armies simultaneously, the continuity of military aid becomes paramount. For the West, ensuring Ukraine's victory is not merely about regional stability but about upholding the principles of international law and countering the rise of authoritarian alliances. Conclusion. North Korea's involvement in Ukraine represents a significant escalation of the conflict and a broader challenge to global security. The emerging Russia-North Korea partnership, rooted in mutual defiance of international norms, threatens to reshape geopolitical dynamics from Eastern Europe to East Asia. By maintaining robust support for Ukraine and developing comprehensive long-term strategies, the international community can counter this dangerous alignment and safeguard the stability of the global order.